Everybody's saying that Bitcoin is going to hell, it's not going to recover, and all this shit that everybody likes to talk about because at the end of the day, it brings in a lot of visits. A lot of people visit their videos, comment their videos, and all this. But is it true or is it just all about fear and FOMO? This is why I'm doing this video because basically I want to show you that what's happening now is actually quite normal and we are still in a positive range. But let's go to the chart and so you can basically see exactly what I mean. First of all, what I want to show you is this exact replica that we can see at this moment, where we can see that this movement here is exactly the same as this movement here, just that this one expanded a little bit more above. But it's exactly the same thing that we're seeing right here, where price basically took liquidity of this high and ended dropping down. And this is completely natural. This is something the market needs to do. The market needs to recover. The market's not going to go up forever. And this is what we need to be aware of. As well, as you can see at this moment, the price has basically, when it came below this low here, it stayed underwater for a couple of days, I would say months, and then it ended up going up again. Same is happening exactly here. The price, even this has the same replica. The price came below, tried to recover, and ended dropping down again. Exactly here, the price came down, tried to recover, and ended coming down again, creating this new low. So as we can see, it's exactly the same. And at the end of the day, Bitcoin is not going to go to zero, virtually never, if people don't want it to. Because at the end of the day, the assets, stocks, or gold, silver, Bitcoin, Ethereum, are all assets created by, or not created, in this case, Bitcoin is, but gold and silver are not created by human being, but human being gave it their value. Because if the human being says, okay, gold hasn't got any value from tomorrow, then that's how it's going to be. Just because it's gold doesn't mean that it's going to have a value forever. Same happens with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to have value until people say, okay, this has not got any value anymore. And this is how it happens. And as we've seen with gold, gold has never lost its value, and Bitcoin is not going to lose its value either because people have money invested inside. There's big people behind, and obviously they don't want to lose their money. So Bitcoin is always going to be a valuable asset until the human being decides it hasn't. So said this, what I want to show you is that basically what's happening now is an exact replica as what's happened in the past of 2021. What the major problem is that a lot of people entered crypto in 2023, 2024, and if we look at the drawdowns that we've had in 2024 and 2025, are ridiculous compared to what we had it in 2020, 2021, 2022. Because here, as you can see here, this drawdown had a max only of 33%. This max drawdown over here was only a 32%, and then these small drawdowns were even less. What happened now that we've entered a bigger drawdown, basically of a 54%. And obviously this scares a lot of people because a lot of people entered up here, entered 120, and entered 100,000, and obviously they are holding their positions. And this isn't incorrect or correct. It's basically your personal risk management. But at the end of the day, losing a 50% of your money is scary. Okay, a lot of people get scared of this because they're not used to it. Because if they started here, basically they've been buying and buying and buying, and it's all the time it's been going up. So at the end of the day, a lot of people say, hey, it just keeps going up. But obviously the markets always need to return. If we come back to 2020, 2021, even this one here, okay, this first time it actually reached 10,000 and it dropped down to, I would say it was 3,000, 4,000 more or less. We can see that the droppage was over 65%. This is what we all started to live when we started investing in crypto. Same happens here. When the price came up the first time to 64,000, it dropped down to 54%. And after that, we had an even bigger drop after taking this liquidity, and it ended up dropping a 77% of its value. So obviously, we need to have this in mind when we're investing in crypto because this can happen. It can happen even in a bigger scale. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but it can happen. What I think is going to happen personally, and obviously this is not any type of financial advice, it's my personal opinion, and it's how I'm basically trading crypto, and it's more or less how I always attack this. Basically, first of all, I never enter at the top. I never enter the top. I sold everything up here. And I'm not going to enter again because the price isn't a reasonable price for me. It's too expensive. So I'm not going to invest my money. Why am I going to invest my money if something is too expensive? FOMO is not going to go in for me. So basically what I always do is I wait for the price to retrace. So if we go to replicate retracements, we'll be able to see that a normal retracement that we're having is over 30 or 20%. So when the price retraces 30 or 20%, I added positions in more or less around here. Okay, at 20%, 25%, 30%, and put in the small amount of money up here, and then increasing the amount of money that I invest in, the more it falls down. So basically, as we can see here, my prediction is that the price is probably going to come down to 45, even down to 30. Why? Because basically, if we search for the same retracement over 78% of the price, we'll be looking at the price coming down to 30,000. Obviously, it doesn't mean it's going to come down to 30,000 because we never know where the market is going to stop falling, but it makes sense that it can actually do this. Basically, the first thing that makes me think that it can do this is that most of the times the retracements of Bitcoin have been similar, but this one wasn't. This one was a really small retracement here. Okay, this was a 33% retracement, and this one that we saw here was as well 33% of the retracement. What happened later? What happened later that the price dropped even more? So basically, it fulfilled the nice retracement that we could see here, coming up to 50-60%. That is the average that we can normally see in Bitcoin. As well, on top of that, if we actually look at this retracement, like I said, it was a 33%, leaving out all this liquidity here. This retracement to be in the average of what Bitcoin is doing should have fallen down to more or less here, okay, to this level down here. What does this mean? Basically that here there are fair value gaps that you can see at this point there, that are these exactly. Okay, this is a fair value gap that hasn't been filled never, and this fair value gap exists since 2023. What can price do? It can easily come down to this value gap. Same happens with these that we can see over here. There's some fair value gaps here that haven't been touched yet as well since 2024. And obviously all this can be fulfilled in the future, especially obviously because now there's a lot of fear entering in Bitcoin. A lot of people are closing their positions in losers, and obviously all this means that the price could easily come down to this level down here, because a lot of people as well that entered at this level here will have their stop losses placed just below, and the market wants these stop losses, wants to liquidate this, because obviously then there's going to be more Bitcoin to buy, and if there's more Bitcoin to buy, then obviously the big guys behind have more liquidity to buy. So basically, this is an explanation that I find right at the moment to what we're living in Bitcoin right now. Obviously, we can expect another half a year in this underwater, in this drawdown that we're existing since the 6th of October of 2025, based on the drawdown that we had since the since 2021, basically until it started to go up again, lasted more or less 432 days. Right now, the current drawdown that we're living is about 300 days. We see 304 days more or less, so it's 150 days that we still expect of Bitcoin being in drawdown, where I am building positions to when it goes up again. Obviously, buying not a lot of amount here and constantly buying a bit more and a bit more and a bit more the more it actually falls, because when it goes up then I can sell and get more profits. But this is the main activity that I'm doing right now on Bitcoin. We can bring more analysis during the weeks about how the market is working, but basically this is what I'm seeing is basically the price could easily come down to these levels here, because it's something that a lot of people are expecting, and the less people expect a movement, the more chances it has to happen, and the more people expect a movement, the less chances it has to happen. That's how the market works on Bitcoin, on gold, or on any asset that you can see out there. The market is always going to try to catch you so you don't make profits, because the markets are not made for you to make profits. As simple as that. So basically, I'll be expecting price to drop down here. It can drop easily. I mean, just now we are only 21% away of this fair value gap here. I don't know if it will actually reach this one down here. This is quite far away, of virtually 50% away. But this one, 20% away, taking the liquidity of this low here is quite easy for the price to do it. And we all know Bitcoin can actually do this, especially seeing what it's done in the past. A lot of people are saying that it should bounce off here. It can bounce off here. I'm not saying it can't. At the end of the day, that we never know where the market is going to stop, and it could easily stop here and start growing up again. It could happen easily, because at the end of the day, it's taken out the same low as it took out here. But we can expect price to be ranging more or less for maybe 50 days, 100 days on this zone here. It could spike down to this level here. It could not. Who knows? But at the end of the day, that's a prediction that I think, that's my personal prediction that I think is going to happen. And it's how I invest in my personal money. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope you've learned something new about Bitcoin. At the end of the day, I honestly don't think I should rely too much on news and everything that's coming out, because at the end of the day, when we see the news, it's already been taken in the market and the movement has already produced. So at the end of the day, we can't predict the movement based on what we see in the news. Obviously, we can understand the sentiment of the market, but at the end of the day, if you see the news, it's already been discounted in the market. So as always, I hope you have a nice day. My name is Jack, and I'll see you next time.